YouTube? We're back with another episode of What the Hell Am I Doing? We're doing a punishment this week. I picked that goddamn Tyron Woodley to beat Jake Paul, and it was a crappy fight. And I still think, neither one of them looked good. I think they both lost stock. I don't think Jake Paul did anything to win. Tyron Woodley definitely didn't do anything to win. But he did land the bigger shots, and he should have got that knockdown. Jake Paul was only on his feet because he fell between the ropes, and he got tied up with them, and that's the only reason why he didn't fall out of the ring or on his back. That should have counted as a knockdown. It did not. It would have changed the scoring to a draw. It was not a good showing for either guy. Tyron was gun shy like usual, but so was Jake Paul. Jake Paul just jabbed and circled, and Tyron kept pushing forward. Once he hurt him, it seemed like that was the rest of the fight. He just kept pushing forward, not really pulling the trigger, and Jake Paul just kept jabbing and circling away and not really trying to engage or get into any trouble. It was a bad fight. The questions have been answered about Jake Paul, I think. Coming into that fight, there was a lot of what-ifs. He handpicked a guy that had no boxing experience, so even though he has very little himself, he has been training for 3 years, and he has enough basic knowledge to, circle and avoid trouble, maybe get in and get out, where a guy like Tyron Woodley is a wrestler first, and an MMA striker a distant second, and he uses his wrestling to set up his striking, so he has no understanding of how to push forward and to start an exchange and get inside. He doesn't know how to move. He doesn't know the footwork. And there's no way he could learn that in a few months. But that being said, he did land the only really big shot of the fight. He did land the few better shots that were landed. A lot of Jake Paul's shots were absorbed or half absorbed by arms and hands. So it was a bad fight all around. It was disappointing. Nobody looked good. And nobody came out of that looking like a winner. And and the biggest worst part is now I have to do a pepper because I was stupid to bet on Jake Paul again, a Jake Paul fight again, and I will never do that again, by the way. Although he'll never step it up to a real fight. He'll never take a real fighter. Not even Fury would he fight his brother. His name evades me at the moment, but he would do that. But so it was a mistake on my behalf, but like I said, I was going to do a pepper, and man of my word, Pierre. But I'll never admit that Jake Paul was good. Jabbing and moving won't win you any fights, especially against real boxers. He was smart in who he picked. He stands for the right things in terms of fighter pay. I respect that. I respect the way he took a pay cut and made sure everybody on the card made good money. I respect that. I respect that part of what he's doing, but I can't question how serious he's taking his training. Obviously, he's training and taking it seriously enough that he can move a bit like a boxer. But it just goes to show there's a big skill gap. If he was to fight a real boxer, he would be out of there real quick. He was gun shy, especially after he got hit. But he knew enough to use a jab to keep Tyron Woodley at bay, and Tyron Woodley is already old and gun shy, as he has been for a few years in the UFC, and that's what unfolded. A mediocre fight that no one really did anything. Okay, so the pepper I'm going to do today is the pepper. I forgot to take the thumb. Oh well. I'll use the picture that I'm using here as the thumb. This is the how many peppers I have now, and I've already made a massive batch of sauce. As you can see, I'm showing off a couple behind me. Here's one right here. Here's the first batch of the year of Champ Sauce. I'm calling this one Champ Sauce Scorpion Knuckles. The reason it's called Scorpion Knuckles is because it's made mostly of yellow moruga scorpions. As well, there are chocolate Bula scorpions and chocolate moruga scorpions. So Scorpion Knuckles is going to be an interesting sauce, I think. It's going to be similar to my other sauces in the sense that it's going to be garlicky. and it should work on everything. I have no idea how it tastes yet. We're going to do a review of this next week, because next week it'll have sat for 2 weeks and it'll be ready for a taste. So we'll taste it on the show first, and then the customers are going to get their bottles. Yeah, they're sold out. So that's kind of cool. Thanks to the few people that reached out to me on Facebook to get some, and the people at work that wanted some. This is a trial run. We're going to see how trial 1 goes, and I got a couple more batches coming with all those peppers you saw there in the picture. We got to do a couple more batches at least. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited about that. I'm excited to try the sauce, and I'm excited to do that on the show for you guys. So make sure you tune in next week, because next week the champ will be tasting the first tasting of Scorpion Knuckles hot sauce by the champ. All right. So the pepper we're doing today, it's one of my favorite peppers. I haven't eaten this on the show in a couple years. It's the Trinidad Viper crossed with the Purple Bhut. I call it the Viper X for short. The funny thing is, even though it's crossed with the Purple Ghost, which is a Purple Bhut, the peppers are yellow. It's a beautiful pepper. It's got a bell shape, but it's got a stinger coming out of the bell. This one's one of the craziest looking ones I've ever seen out of the 3 years that I've grown this. This is the biggest, thickest stinger. So this one's really mean. So I'm going to save the seeds from this one. I get a lot that look like this one. The stinger's not so pronounced. And then most of them look like this one, where the stinger comes out like that a little bit. But it's a very nice pepper. Very vibrant, yellow, beautiful pepper. Love these peppers. I can chop these up and put them on burgers straight. They're hot. They're not quite ghost pepper hot, but they're hot. They got a nice flavor. The sauce that I made last year with with the Viper X and the chocolate bula was really good, and I'm going to be making a batch of that. I think maybe this weekend, we'll see. I got to go through it and see if I have enough, because I want to make enough to sell some too. If people want to get some, that is. I mean, I'm not. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this. But yeah. So I also want to show you this one, because last year I mentioned it, but I think I didn't have anything to compare. This one came off the same plant. This one here is a mustard colored one. And I think that's because the seeds that I got were only 4th generation seeds at the time from when they were first crossed. And usually a pepper is not considered stable till like it's been grown from its own seeds for 10 or 11 years and hasn't changed. So things are somewhat stable by the 4th or 5th generation, but still weird stuff can happen. I think that's why some of these are mustard colored, and why most of them are yellow, all in the same plant. So last year, I'm a little colorblind, so last year I didn't realize that many of the green ones were not dark green, but they were mustard colored. And I was wondering why all these peppers were rotting on the plant, and then Druid Herbertberry, who I gave a few to the year before, told me that some of his were mustard. And that's when I realized that most of mine were. So I didn't get many of these peppers to cook with last year. Beyond making some sauce, I didn't have many to freeze. This year, I've got a lot on my plants. They're filled with them. If you haven't seen last week's video, go check it out. I gave a little tour of the garden and the state that it's in now. But yeah, I've got a ton of these, so I want to make sure I freeze a bunch. I'm going to make powder. We're going to be doing a powder giveaway. We're going to be doing a seed giveaway. I've got these yellow moruga seeds that I pulled last week. I've got chocolate moruga seeds that I pulled, and I got chocolate bula seeds that I pulled from all the peppers that I was making. Well, not all the peppers, but I pulled from some of the nice ones I want to try to hopefully get the same shape again. So I kept some seeds from some of the select peppers so I could regrow them. And we will be doing a draw later in the year, so we got to grow this channel. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, get your friends watching. Let's grow this thing so I can do a draw and give you guys some of my seeds and some of my powder. And make sure you like this video and comment, because I like to talk to everybody, and it's nice to hear from the same people, but I want to hear from everybody, because a lot of people watch and not everybody talks. So don't be shy, say what you got to say. All right, so I'm not going to eat this one today because I want the seeds from this one. I want a beautiful yellow one, and I want this shape. I think this is just a fantastic looking Viper X, so I want the seeds from this one. As much as this is cool, this is not what I want from these peppers. I want them to be yellow. So I don't know if taking the seeds from the yellow one promotes that, but that's what I'm hoping. But either way, they're great to cook with. But I just think the yellow peppers are very vibrant and beautiful in yellow. Okay, so this is the bad boy that we're having here. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? Yeah, it's a big pepper. Pierre, I know you love watching me hurt, man. You've been trolling me all week. You're a good dude. I know I was grumpy about this, but you're a good dude. And I just don't want to suffer. I don't want to ruin my day today. So let me just pop these seeds out real quick because I want to grow some more of these, of course, and I want to try to look like this one. Okay, well, I've got seeds out of it. This one doesn't have that many seeds in it, believe it or not. It only has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 seeds. That's like enough to package and sell somebody. I'm kidding. I'm not going into business of selling seeds. These are probably all cross-pollinated. I try to pull peppers from the parts of the plants that are probably least likely to be cross-pollinated. That's why I get them early. That's where I know where they're from. So we'll see how these turn out next year. But I would never sell seeds for that reason, because you might not get what you're paying for. And I don't want people to come back at me for that. I will trade them and let you know that up front, but you know, that's fair, right? If the same thing could happen to me in a trade. But yeah, this one didn't have that many seeds, but I'm going to save these seeds, and hopefully we'll get some more of these peppers next year to look like this. So Tyron Woodley, you let me down. You did land the bigger punch. You did have a moment, and if they scored it properly, it should have been a knockdown, and the fight would have been at least a draw. But you would have won the fight either way at that point. It was a very uneventful night with a lot of talk from both sides. Very disappointing. And unfortunately, you guys left it up to me to make it up to the fans, because now they were going to watch me suffer from my stupid choice of getting involved in this nonsense. God damn it. What will I learn? Like, share, and subscribe. Here we go. Let's hope this is as good as I remember it being. Fruity. Mmm. Mmm. Ugh. Those are good peppers. So it's fruity to begin with. It's peppery to begin with too. As soon as the juice hits the tongue, the heat spills out of it. I forgot to show you guys the insides. It wasn't overly oily or crazy orange like the one I ate last week. These, I don't believe, are on the same heat level. I haven't eaten one of these in a couple of years, so I could be wrong. So far, it's not on that level. Very tasty pepper. That one was pretty thick-walled. It was juicy. I like cooking with them. And I like the hot sauce that I made with them because they have a good flavor. They blend well with the chocolate pepper, I believe. So right now, I'd say the heat on my tongue is about a 1.5. Right in the front, a little bit in my throat and the back. Mostly on the tongue and the front. It makes me sweat. But almost everything does, most of the time. It's a good pepper. And that's why I can put that one on burgers, because it's not too bad, especially if I split it onto 2 burgers, I can do it. A little bit punishing, My choice was crap, but I wasn't too into the idea of doing a pick for that fight. But I still did it. And I kept my word. I did a pepper for it because I'm a man, and that's what men do. Whew. Make sure you subscribe. Check out last week's video where I picked this fight wrong. Check out the video before that where I did a punishment of a really hot pepper. And we'll see you next week when I do a review of Champ Sauce. I'm drooling a bit, but I can deal with this heat. See you next week.